Hi there, I'm Dr. Paul May from the Northern Veterinary Group. Today I thought I'd give you a few tips on tableting your cat, as I know it can be sometimes a very difficult thing to do. So here we've got Roy, he's my cat. I'm going to use him as the subject today, just to prove that not all cats are perfect and things that can be quite difficult to tablet still. Now the tips when you're tableting a cat are control and speed. Now the best way to control your cat when you're giving a tablet, if you're doing it by yourself, is to try and keep your cat tucked into your body. So Roy's facing away from me at the moment, and I've got his back and his body lined up against my arm. And that way basically I can control him so he's not going to be able to back away from me or possibly run forward because I've got my hand around the front. Okay. Now the next thing is trying to control his head. So the best way to do this is using your hand, usually your non-preferred hand. I'm right-handed, so I'll use my left hand to hold his head. I'll put my hand over the top of his body and just holding just at the top part of his jaw, just behind his front teeth, okay? What I can then do from that position is tilt his head backwards, so he's facing straight up at the roof. Using my other hand, what I can then do is, using the middle finger, pull his jaw down, and then holding the pill in your hands, you can drop it down the back of his throat and give it a quick push. Now I'm going to do that with the worming tablet we have here. So again, Roy's tucked into my body, hand over his head, holding behind his teeth, head up towards the roof, pulling his jaw down, dropping the tablet to the back and just giving a quick push. And that's really all that you need to do, okay? If you want to do it with two people, then what you would do is have one person standing and holding his legs so he can't lift his legs up and grab at your hands, whilst the other person holds his head to put the tablet down. Now in some cats that still is very, very difficult, in which case you might want to use a thing called a pet pillar. This is an example of a pet pillar we have here, okay? It's got a nice rubber tip on the end so you can't do any damage. I would usually only recommend using ones with rubber tips. Any ones that have only got a plastic tip, you risk doing damage to the cat when you put the pillar down the back of the throat. Now the way to use a pet pillar is they've usually got a small hole in the end. We take the tablet, we put it into that hole, and then just like using a syringe, all you need to do, this way you don't have to hold him so securely and tilt his head backwards. What you can do is putting the pet pillar into his mouth, putting the pet pillar into his mouth, down the back and just giving it a push, okay? When you give it a push, it pushes the tablet out the end, and because it's got a rubber tip, you can put it to the back of the throat, give it a quick push, and the tablet will get swallowed, alright? Other than that, there's no other real tips. As I said, control and speed are the easiest ways. If you do have two people to give you a hand, that can often make it a bit easier as well. Thank you.